Hi, it's Katrina! From Cleopatra's palace to a mythical city that turned out to be real, here are 10 incredible lost cities found underwater. Number 10. Antirhodos. Sometime during the 4th century, the Egyptian city of Alexandria was hit by a huge earthquake, followed by a tsunami of epic proportions. An island called Antirhodos was sunk during the process, taking with it Cleopatra's palace and a former wonder of the ancient world, the Lighthouse of Alexandria. This reportedly happened a few centuries after Cleopatra's death, and her palace is rumored to be buried in a small bay under 10 to 20 feet of murky water. Greek geographers and historians describe the island and its location in texts, helping people remember that it once existed, even though nobody knew where it was. It was also known as Antirhodos because of its competition with the actual island of Rhodes. The sunken island and its royal contents remained largely a mystery until the 1990s, when a French archaeologist named Frank Gaudiot studied the ancient writings of the Greek historian Strabo. Intrigued by Strabo's records and accompanied by a diving team, a determined Gaudiot set out to find the lost island. Problem was that Strabo wasn't very precise and had actually gotten the location wrong. But after several searches, they found it. It was a small island occupied before Alexandria was founded, and excavations revealed a royal house belonging to Cleopatra, along with what may even be her tomb, and a temple dedicated to Isis, one of the greatest goddesses of ancient Egypt. There was also a small port with a Roman wreck nearby, and Mark Antony's half-finished palace. While some artifacts remain at the site, over 140 of the most valuable and well-preserved pieces have been taken to a museum for people to enjoy. Number 9. Oluse. Home to a population of around 40,000 at its peak, Oluse was a Dorian city of ancient Crete, situated along the Aegean Sea. The ruins are so close to shore, they are visible to the naked eye. Oluse was one of around 100 Minoan cities that flourished between 3000 and 900 BC. At the time, it fell along a major trade route that connected northern Crete with the Aegean Islands and the rest of the Mediterranean. Because the city is conspicuously absent from historical texts, most of what experts know is gleaned from archaeological evidence. Findings from underwater surveys fall in line with the suspicion that Oluse was a wealthy port city. In addition to basic buildings, the ruins include roads and the remains of a Hellenistic fortification, consisting of a defensive wall and tower. Archaeologists have also found coins dating back between 330 and 280 BC, and inscriptions linking Oluse with the ancient city of Knossos and the island of Rhodes. Remember, the enemy of Antirhodos. Cemetery tombs, marble statue fragments, and an early Byzantine-era basilica indicate that the settlement thrived during Roman times. Researchers have trouble figuring out why Oluse became submerged. Some attribute its sinking to rising sea levels, while others believe that a volcanic eruption on the nearby island of Santorini or an earthquake triggered its tragic demise. Any of these scenarios are possible, but sea level patterns point toward the likelihood that the site was consumed by rising waters. Number 8. Dwarka. Located in the state of Gujarat in northwestern India, the modern-day city of Dwarka is one of 4 sacred Hindu pilgrimage sites and one of the country's 7 most ancient religious cities. But there is another, older legendary version of the city that was believed to be nothing but myth. But now archaeologists have found submerged ruins under the sea. There are rumors that the site represents the mythical city of Dwarka founded by Lord Krishna, an important character of Hindu mythology. Krishna summoned divine powers to build the city, complete with a massive stone wall to protect it. Also known as Dwarka, the city had 900,000 royal palaces, all made with pure silver and jewels, with gardens everywhere and the sound of birds singing and bees humming. When Lord Krishna died, the kingdom sank into the sea. Excavations of the underwater sites have been ongoing for decades, revealing interior and exterior walls and fort bastions, just like the mythical city. There are also some other unidentified structures, as well as a stone-built jetty, triangular stone anchors, stone sculptures, terracotta beads, and bronze, copper, and iron objects. The style of the anchor suggests that Dwarka was one of the busiest ports on India's west coast during its Middle Kingdom period, which lasted from the 3rd century BC to the 13th century AD. Scientists from the Archaeological Survey of India's Marine Archaeological Unit also found inscriptions dating back to 1500 BC, and pottery from as early as 3,528 BC. Some claim that the site is as much as 9,500 years old, based on the last time the land it sits on was allegedly above water, which would make it older than the Sumerians. Number 7. Fengoria. Founded around 543 BC by ancient Greeks fleeing from war in Asia Minor, today modern-day Turkey, Fengoria was a coastal settlement on the Taman Peninsula in what is now Russia. Covering an area of around 190 acres, it was a bustling trade center and one of the most influential settlements along the Black Sea. Several times during the course of its history, Fengoria was attacked by invading armies, especially as its importance increased. But the city managed to maintain its dominance in the region through its loyalty to the powerful Roman Empire until the Huns sacked and destroyed it during the 4th century. After all that, Fengoria managed to regain its power and continued to flourish until sometime during the 10th century, when it succumbed to an invasion for the final time. There's only so much a city can take. The settlement was ultimately abandoned and a new city was built over its ruins during the Middle Ages, but that city was also deserted and the site has not been inhabited since. The ruins of Fengoria were rediscovered during the 18th century. Excavations of the vast metropolis yielded discoveries of marble statue bases dedicated to the goddess Aphrodite, gold and silver artifacts, an inscription dedicated to the Emperor Augustus, and crypts dating as far back as 1,500 years. About 1/3 of Fengoria has sunk beneath the sea amid rising sea levels. Excavations of the site are ongoing both on dry land and underwater. That's fun. The partial sinking of the site serves as an ominous warning about what will probably eventually happen to the rest of it. Number 6. Port Royal. Once known as the most wicked and sinful city in the world, Port Royal was located on what used to be Jamaica's southeastern coast. It became one of the New World's largest European cities by the late 17th century, and it was a haven for vice. Las Vegas is nothing compared to Port Royal. Rife with drunkenness, prostitution, and other forms of debauchery that I can't really go into, the natural harbor was at one point controlled by the notorious pirate Henry Morgan, who became lieutenant governor in 1675. It was basically pirate heaven. But the sinful city's glory days would be short-lived. On June 7, 1692, a massive 7.5 magnitude earthquake struck Jamaica, instantly liquefying the sand that Port Royal was mostly built on top of and submerging buildings, roads, and people into the Caribbean Sea. Next came tsunami waves, which wiped out most of the remaining undestroyed parts of the city. Altogether, 33 acres of Port Royal plunged into the water, killing around 2,000 people and destroying 4 of its 5 ports. Even after Port Royal was destroyed, its corrupt culture lived on. According to historical accounts, opportunists began looting and committing violent acts before the ground even stopped shaking from the earthquake. Many looked at the city's demise as a sign of divine retribution. God was punishing the people of Port Royal for their wayward activities. Today, Port Royal's remains lie beneath up to 40 feet of water. Archaeological excavations have produced rarely seen 17th century artifacts, including a pocket watch stopped at 1143 and dated to 1686. The submerged site has been likened to an underwater Pompeii, with its remains left as is since the fateful moment it sank without warning. Number 5. Atletia. As sea levels rose after the last ice age, coastlines around the world shrank, submerging settlements and forcing people to repeatedly move inland. Of the dozens of these underwater sites that dot the modern-day Israeli shore, Atletia is among the best preserved. Situated in the Bay of Atlit along the Haifa coast between 26 and 36 feet below today's sea levels, this pre-pottery Neolithic village dates back 9,000 years. Marine archaeologists discovered the prehistoric settlement in the 1980s and excavated it between then and the year 2000. During that time, they found numerous artifacts revealing how people dealt with the rapidly changing environment and introduced new technologies. Atletia contains the world's earliest known freshwater wells, with 7 megalithic stones surrounding a spring in the middle of the site. Additionally, archaeologists found the remains of around 100 plants, indicating that the inhabitants ate a traditional, well-balanced Mediterranean diet, enabling some people to live to the ripe old age of 50 years old, which constituted a long life back then. I mean, remember, it's 9,000 years ago. Bones of fish, wild animals, and domestic livestock show that Atletia subsisted on a mixed economy of agriculture and husbandry combined with hunting, fishing, and gathering. Unlike most settlements of this type, Atletia yielded numerous human burials, which bear evidence of a population that struggled with malaria, tuberculosis, and an ear condition related to cold water diving. These findings prove that tuberculosis is at least 3,000 years older than scientists previously thought, and help to shed light on the disease's bacterial evolution into modern times. Residents also combated the elements amid a warming climate, dealing with chronic flooding that ultimately caused them to abandon the site, an ominous realization that some coastal communities are having to face today. And now for a lost Greek city, but first wanted to give a quick shout out to Miscellaneous and Andy Christie. Love hanging out with you all, and thanks for spending time over here. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know which city you wish still existed in real life in the comments below. Number 4. Pablo Petri. Situated in Vatica Bay off Greece's Peloponnese coast, Pablo Petri was a Bronze Age city that was inhabited from the 3rd millennium BC to around 1100 BC, making it around 5,000 years old. It's the oldest known submerged ancient Greek settlement and one of the oldest sites in the world. Oceanographer Nicholas Fleming is credited with discovering Pablo Petri after having visited the site in 1967. He returned the following year with a colleague and some archaeologists who went underwater and mapped out the entire freshly discovered city. They documented buildings, organized streets, and public squares. Subsequent investigations in recent years have uncovered thousands of artifacts, including large Minoan jars, tableware, and other everyday objects, offering an unprecedented glimpse into the everyday lives of Pablo Petri's residents. Architectural features such as gardens, temples, a cemetery, and a water management system have also been found. Researchers believe that the city was a major Minoan and Mycenaean commerce center that sank into the Mediterranean Sea during the first of 3 catastrophic earthquakes to strike the area. The disaster literally stopped life in its tracks, leaving the underwater site more or less frozen in time since the moment it plunged below the surface. However, now Pablo Petri is threatened by tourists, souvenir hunters, and boats that drag their anchors through the area. Number 3. Lion City. Nicknamed China's Atlantis, Xicheng, also called the Lion City, was established around 1,300 years ago and was an important urban center in the area, but now lies hidden underwater. It was deliberately flooded in 1959 and was soon forgotten about. Situated at the foot of Wuxi Mountain, roughly 250 miles south of Shanghai, it remained inhabited until the mid-20th century, when nearly 300,000 residents were relocated to make way for a man-made lake as part of a hydroelectric power plant construction project. A local official was on a mission to make the lake more attractive to tourists, so he met up with a diving club and they began exploring the area. To everyone's surprise, Xicheng was there. After lying undisturbed for over half a century, its structures remained perfectly preserved. Underwater explorers discovered 5 entrance gates to the city as well as 5 towers, which was extremely unique because most cities have 4 for the 4 cardinal directions. So what was the 5th entrance? They also found 265 archways featuring carved lions, dragons, and inscriptions. The structures at Xicheng date as far back as 1,400 years, although many are newer, having originated during the Ming and Qing dynasties, which ruled from 1368 to 1912. Experts believe that the walls surrounding the small 0.2 square mile site were built during the 16th century. Xicheng sits beneath 85 to 131 feet of water, which has protected it from the elements over the last several decades. The site is open to advanced divers and is offering tours for people to go exploring. Number 2. Mahabalipuram. When a historically destructive tsunami hit the Indian coast in 2004, onlookers in the town of Mahabalipuram watched as a long row of granite boulders emerged from the ocean before the massive wave consumed them once again. What was it? Years later, a team of scientists from India's National Institute of Oceanography found the remains of an ancient port settlement in that exact location, 2,624 feet from the shoreline. Sunken beneath 27 feet of water are a 33-foot-long wall, a flight of stairs, and chiseled stone blocks scattered along the seabed. Unfortunately, the structures were covered with plant growth, making it difficult for the team to identify them. The head of the Marine Archaeological Unit said that they could make out that they were part of a building complex. Researchers believe the buildings are between 1,100 and 1,500 years old. Discoveries like this are paving the way for potential opportunities for archaeologists to further explore India's submerged history by increasing the chances of securing government funding for future excavations. Number 1. Simena. Dating back to around 2000 BC, the ancient city of Simena was a small fishing village during ancient times. Located near the uninhabited island of Kekova of modern-day Antalya, Turkey, the Lycian settlement was also an important trading post. The Lycian civilization was unique to the Mediterranean coast of present-day Turkey, making Simena an important archaeological site. Made up of a democratic union of cities known as the Lycian League, Lycia is considered one of the world's first democratic systems. Simena boasted the smallest Lycian amphitheater, an acropolis, shipyard, church, temple, walls, and more. Not sure why you want to brag about having the smallest theater, but it's cute. Several of these structures and features sank during the 2nd century when a series of cataclysmic earthquakes gradually submerged the city, which sat right at the water's edge until then. Some of Simena's ruins, including some residential homes and staircases, still peek up from the water, making them visible to the naked eye. The remains of the city's public baths can be found along the shore, with an inscription identifying them as a gift from the people to the Emperor Titus. Unfortunately, if you are hoping to view this sunken part of the city up close and personal, you're out of luck. Diving and snorkeling are prohibited at the site, which is a designated specially protected area to protect it from damage. Meanwhile, Simena is on the tentative list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. You can, however, catch a glimpse of the ruins from above via the occasional tour boats that slow down as they pass through the ancient harbor. Thanks for watching! Which ancient city would you want to see? Any divers out there that already have? Let us know in the comments below. And remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. See you next time. Bye!